There comes a moment in every sincere journey of self-discovery when clarity stops being a simple insight and becomes something far more dangerous. The danger isn't outside of you. It doesn't come from the world or from circumstances or from the people in your life. It emerges from within, from the invisible, seismic shift taking place inside you, a shift that slowly, inevitably pushes you beyond the people around you. This isn't a claim of spiritual superiority. It's a cold, undeniable fact about evolution. You begin to experience what Alan Watts often described as waking up inside a dream. The foundations of the reality you once shared with your peers, your family, your community, the unspoken rules, the agreed-upon assumptions, suddenly become transparent. And the first, most brutal realization is this: everyone else is still playing the game with absolute conviction. Imagine a map you've used your entire life. Its lines were familiar, comforting, trustworthy. Then one day you realize the map is just an illustration on a sheet of paper. It's not the territory at all. Worse yet, everyone around you is still fighting over who owns the paper, still terrified of crossing the lines you now know are imaginary. You're staring out at the ocean, while they're still debating the best way to cross the street. This sudden, profound, isolating difference is the invisible gap. And the real danger lies in the friction this gap creates. For most of your life, your identity, your self, was formed through consensus. You were defined by how others saw you, the reliable friend, the diligent worker, the predictable child. Your role was a fixed beam holding up the psychological structure of your social world. But now your growth, your fluidity, your refusal to remain compressed inside those convenient labels is not seen as inspiration. It's seen as a threat, a destabilizing force that shakes the entire psychological architecture of those who have chosen to remain unchanged. Alan Watts understood this dynamic intimately. He taught that the ego is a defense mechanism, a rigid barrier constructed to protect us from the overwhelming flow of life. People cling desperately to their fixed roles because letting go would mean confronting impermanence and the terrifying idea that there is no permanent, separate self. When you begin dissolving your own boundaries, when you step off the carousel of social pretense, you force others to face their own confinement. And they will not thank you for this. Instead, they will apply a subtle, powerful reverse gravity, urging you gently but firmly to shrink back into the familiar two-dimensional version of yourself they once understood. You feel this tension in the quietest moments, in the awkward pauses where conversations once flowed effortlessly, in the blank stares you receive when you attempt to share something meaningful about consciousness or existence, stares that quickly give way to gossip or talk about the latest trend. You realize that the language you speak now is different. Your questions have become too big for their answers. Your concerns no longer orbit the practicalities of life but the deeper mystery beneath it. And so you encounter the harsh truth. Your dedication to truly knowing yourself has made you an outsider. You've become an anomaly, a glitch in the social matrix, and the system is designed to correct its glitches. This is where growth becomes personal. It demands your comfort. It demands your belonging. It demands that you accept the possibility that some of your oldest, deepest connections may begin to unravel and eventually fall away. You're forced to choose between the warm familiarity of the known and the unsettling, but honest, truth of your own evolution. This moment, this chilling awareness of separation, is the most dangerous point of the journey. The temptation to retreat, to pretend nothing changed, to silence your inner clarity just to keep companionship. It's immense. It's the ego's final, desperate attempt to survive. But once awareness rings its bell, it can't be unheard. Once you've seen the ocean, you can't go back to being satisfied with a teaspoon of water. To survive this threshold, you need a conscious, courageous declaration. You need to anchor yourself against the social current pulling you backward. You must accept that the very loneliness you fear is, paradoxically, the necessary ground for your unfolding. It is the space where the old self dies and the authentic self is born. If you feel this threshold, if you feel the quiet distance growing between you and your past, and if you are ready to choose the freedom of growth over the safety of familiarity, then affirm it now. I am ready for the aloneness of growth. This mantra is your shield. It acknowledges that the road ahead is solitary but necessary. It affirms that the price of your true self is the ending of false connections. It prepares you for the solitude that follows insight. The solitude Alan Watts knew was the birthplace of real wisdom. This gap, this palpable separation is not an accident. It is the direct result of a psychological truth Watts articulated throughout his life. Human beings fear fluidity. To grow is to become fluid, to soften the rigid outlines of the old self. But the world around you, a world built on collective anxiety, depends on fixed roles and predictable identities. The moment you break that fixed form, you inject instability into every system around you. The ego, as Watts said, is the illusion of being a permanent island in a shifting sea. Others need you to be that island. If you change, they must face that their own boundaries are illusions too. And that is terrifying. So the resistance you face, the judgment, the subtle pushback, the attempts to return you to who you once were, comes from their panic, not your mistake. Your evolution is a mirror they cannot look into. This resistance rarely appears as confrontation. It's quieter, more insidious. It shows up as nostalgia. Remember when you used to be fun? As invalidation, you're just going through a phase. As silence, the absence of curiosity, the refusal to understand your new path. This mechanism is designed to activate your deepest instinct, belonging. Since childhood, belonging equaled safety. So your psyche panics. Go back. Conform. It's safer to be unhappy with the crowd than happy alone. To withstand this undertow, you must understand it. Don't internalize their confusion. Don't treat their resistance as a sign of your error. Recognize it for what it is, proof of your transformation. Proof that your change is powerful enough to shake their sense of reality. Your task is not to fight the friction, it's to become immune to it. To hear old criticisms as echoes from a world you no longer live in. Watts' advice remains simple: don't force change onto others. Be change. Live authentically. Those who are ready will understand. Those who are not will remain confused. The friction is simply the sound of an old world falling behind you. But now we reach the third and most emotional danger, the price of silence. The resistance around you pushes you into self-censorship. You stop sharing the vast universe inside you. You smile, nod, and offer surface-level responses while a galaxy of insight burns behind your eyes. You edit your soul just to keep the peace. Watts warned constantly about the danger of persona, the mask worn for social transactions. When you outgrow your environment, you're pressured to wear that old mask again just to avoid conflict. But the mask is hollow now. And every time you wear it, the split between who you are and who you pretend to be grows wider. This is the true danger, separation from your own truth. The world may think it still has you, but the real you, the evolving you, retreats into a quiet, inner fortress. You're surrounded by people but deeply alone, because you're no longer present as your true self, only as a performance. Every withheld truth drains your vitality. Every false laugh, every forced agreement, every time you pretend to value what you've outgrown, you chip away at your authenticity. And Watts reminds us, to live inauthentically is the greatest betrayal of oneself. But now comes the turning point. This silence isn't failure, it's purification. It burns away your final dependency, the need to be understood. This loneliness becomes the fertile soil where your true self finally breaks through. It is only in this quiet, this retreat from superficial communication, that the unfiltered you can emerge. The exhausting effort to be understood dissolves. The fight to justify your growth ends. Your evolution is no longer a debate. It is a fact. The acceptance you once sought from others arises now from within. A deep, resonant yes to your own truth. Silence shifts from prison to sanctuary. By accepting this emotional solitude, you achieve liberation. Your energy stops pouring into explaining your path to those who don't want to walk it. You turn toward the real territory, not the map others cling to. Here, in this solitude, a self finally strong enough to stand alone is born. You become whole even in aloneness. And that wholeness is the only certainty you will ever need. You've crossed the hardest passage, the silence of self-suppression. You've faced the void and found strength inside it. Now it's time to leave the friction behind and step into the radiant phase that follows truth. The danger of outgrowing others transforms into your greatest power, self-magnetism. What's taught that real change does not come through force. It comes through alignment, through effortlessness, through wu wei. Transformation happens not by trying to repair yourself but by allowing your true self to rise naturally. Your work now is not to fight for freedom but to let freedom happen. The resistance of the past no longer matters. Your attention has shifted. You're no longer looking backward. You're looking into the open, spontaneous potential of the present. This is the moment to let go of the last remnants of the old life. The habits, the roles, the environments that kept you small. Do not fear the empty space left behind. The universe, as Watts said, is not a void but a creative fullness. When you embody your truth, you become magnetic. What's false falls away. What aligns with you flows toward you. People, opportunities, experiences. You don't find your new community, you attract it. This is the triumphant climax of outgrowing. The fear of being an outsider transforms into the joy of being a pioneer. Life stops being a defense and becomes a dance. You speak because truth moves through you. You act because the universe acts as you. Embrace the momentum. The danger is gone. And now comes the revelation. Your growth was never a mistake, never a burden. It was a necessary shedding, clearing the way for a life of joy, connection, and authenticity. You are now free to be wholly, brilliantly, spontaneously yourself. This is the freedom Watts promised. And from here, a new chapter of liberated existence begins. But liberation, as you soon discover, is not a destination. It is a beginning, the true starting point of a life lived without pretense. Once the old layers fall away and the gravitational pull of your past identity weakens, you step into a wider, more fluid landscape. A landscape in which your choices are no longer dictated by fear, expectation, or inherited roles, but by something subtler and infinitely more truthful, the spontaneous movement of your own consciousness. This new chapter arrives quietly. There is no triumphant music, no moment of cinematic clarity. Instead, it reveals itself in small, unmistakable shifts. The anxiety that once gnawed at you dissolves. The constant need to justify who you are evaporates. You find that silence, which once felt suffocating, has become comforting. A spacious, receptive companion rather than a threat. You begin to notice a profound change in how you relate to the world. Instead of scanning for approval, you observe. Instead of shrinking to fit others' expectations, you expand naturally, not aggressively, not performatively, but effortlessly. The same way a tree grows, without apology, without hesitation, without needing permission. And in this expansion, something extraordinary happens. Life starts responding to you differently. Not because you've learned a magic trick, not because you're manifesting through force, but because your frequency, the core tone of your being, has changed. You are no longer entangled in the web of subconscious fear, and when fear dissolves, resistance dissolves with it. New people begin to enter your life, people who don't require you to dim your light. New opportunities appear, invitations that match your state of authenticity rather than your old persona. Your world reshapes itself around the person you are becoming, not the person you used to be. This is the quiet brilliance of growth. The world changes because you changed. Yet even in this newfound expansion, there remains a subtle challenge. One that Alan Watts hinted at repeatedly, the responsibility that comes with clarity. When you see through the illusions that once governed you, you become incapable of participating in them unconsciously. You cannot return to drama, to pettiness, to the constant recycling of the same emotional patterns. You cannot rejoin conversations that revolve around fear and scarcity, not because you're above them, but because you simply see too clearly to take them seriously. This forces you into an even deeper kind of honesty. Not just with others, but with yourself. You must learn to discern when you are slipping into old habits of self-suppression. You must learn to recognize when you are tempted to abandon your truth just to maintain harmony. The difference now is that you can feel, viscerally, when something is no longer aligned with your inner being. Your body responds. Your intuition tightens. Your energy retracts. Awakening sharpens your sensitivity. You feel more. You notice more. You react less. Instead of collapsing into old emotional reflexes, you witness them arise and fall like clouds drifting through an open sky. You begin to understand what Watts meant when he said that the real transformation is not about becoming something new, but about recognizing that you were always the flowing, spacious awareness behind every experience. And with this recognition comes freedom, a freedom so profound that it can be disorienting. For the first time, you are living without a script. The story is no longer predetermined. You are improvising with life itself, meeting each moment on its own terms rather than filtering it through inherited expectations. This improvisation is not chaos. It is a dance, one that requires trust. Trust in your intuition. Trust in your unfolding. Trust that the universe is not a hostile force but a creative field that mirrors your inner state. As you deepen into this trust, a new form of connection emerges. It is different from the connections of your past, which often relied on shared wounds or shared illusions. This new connection arises from resonance, from people who meet you at the level of truth rather than comfort. These relationships do not demand performance. They do not punish your evolution. They expand with you. You find conversations that stretch you instead of shrink you. You find people who listen with curiosity rather than fear. You discover the rare and precious experience of being seen without distortion. And the more you experience this kind of connection, the more you realize how unnatural your old life truly was. The roles, the masks, the expectations, all of them seem impossibly small in retrospect. You wonder how you ever managed to breathe inside them. Yet, despite all this newfound clarity, a quiet paradox remains. The more authentic you become, the more solitude becomes a natural part of your life. Not loneliness, but solitude. A rich, nourishing solitude that allows your inner world to expand without interruption. You begin to crave this space the way a seed craves soil. It becomes the ground where your deepest insights take root. In this solitude, you also discover a deeper form of peace. A peace not dependent on circumstances, achievements, or external validation. It is a peace that arises from knowing that you no longer need to manipulate life to feel safe. You no longer need to chase outcomes or cling to identities. You no longer need to make yourself smaller to belong. You belong to yourself now. And with that belonging comes a soft, powerful realization. You are not here to fit into the world. You are here to flow through it, to participate, to create, to express, to transform, to witness the infinite ways in which consciousness experiences itself. This realization dissolves the last remnants of fear. You stop trying to outrun uncertainty. You start letting life move through you without resistance. Moments become richer. Colors become sharper. Even the simplest experiences carry a depth that was invisible before. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you step into the final stage of awakening. Integration. Integration is where wisdom becomes embodiment, where clarity becomes action, where insight becomes rhythm, where understanding becomes lived reality. It is here, in this quiet and powerful space, that you begin to see your life not as a linear journey, but as a vast, living tapestry, one that is still being woven with every breath, every choice, every surrender. You understand that growth has no finish line, that becoming is endless, that awakening is a spiral, not a ladder, and that each return to solitude, each shedding of old identities, each expansion into new states of being is simply another turn of that spiral. You are not done. You are not complete. You are not final. You are alive, and life is movement.